Good evening, ladies and gentle cars. We are excited to be here on a new episode of the Five Hole, right here on Variety Sports Network. So, thanks for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. First off, my first question to you, Jerry, is how excited are you about your Rangers in the Eastern Conference Finals?
What have I been saying all season long on the five hole podcast? All roads go through Madison Square Garden. Yeah, how about that? We went live. Aaron, myself, and our third chair, Chris, CPNY Sports. We went live on the Blue Shirt Banter, and we were just going insane. It was absolutely wild. Everyone counting this out, and I hate to really play the underdog cards because, again, something I've been preaching on both shows this and Blue Shirts is that we won the President's Trophy. And they don't just give that out to any team in the NHL.
Correct.
That goes to the best team in the NHL for the entire season, which makes us, by the transitive property, the best team in the NHL. Yet we are dogs against the Canes, we're dogs against the Panthers, and we are serious odds against Capitals or minus 400, so I really can't play any cards there. But, you look at that series, the Canes series, and we dropped game 4, and it was okay. It was fine. Then we dropped game 5, and then all of a sudden now reverse sweep talk starts to come out. Like it's not wow. I don't want to say it's normal to lose. Obviously, could it be there? Yeah, but you can't just jump to that conclusion right away. I feel like they were starting. There was whispers after game 5, and then after game 6, or I'm sorry, there was whispers after game 4, and then after game 5, everything really ramped up, and then I started seeing graphics, and everyone just started like, "Oh, this is going to be a monumental collapse." It's like people are just preying on the downfall of the New York Rangers, and I got news for you: it's not coming. It's not coming anytime soon, and I'm here to say that. I'll say that with an iron fist, full whip my chest. The odds. So every team in the NHL, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, every series in the conference semis went the team was up 3-1 and they forced to game 6. Is that correct? All series went 6 at least?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And I was looking at the statistics. ESPN put up a graphic. It was chances to win and come back from the underdogs. It was the Bruins had a 24% chance. The Avalanche had a 28% chance, and the Carolina Hurricanes had a 54% chance. And I just don't understand the math there. Again, President's Trophy winning hockey team. And none of it matters now. Push came to shove. We got the job done even after an abysmal first and second period. Everyone really thought like, oh, my God, this is going to happen. Nope. CK20 has something to say and solidified his, his banner in the rafters at MSG as a Rangers great. So there's that, and we're on to the ECF, baby.
Brandon, what's your thought? I don't know if you got a chance. I actually got the opportunity or watched that game the other night, and I was like, when it popped up, it was a 3-1 Canes at one point in time.
Yep.
I was like, damn, like we're gonna get a game 7. This is it. Like this is the Canes are gonna do this. They're gonna do the miraculous thing and come back after being down 3-0, and whatnot. And then it was just like boom, boom, boom. It was a whole it went from 3-1 to 5-1 or 5-3 that quick.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't have what is going on.
I actually didn't have the privilege of watching game 6. I was actually at my bachelor party, so I was not able to actually watch said game. But I did look up how the game went and everything afterwards. But the fact that they were able to not let the deficit pretty much elude them, and they were pretty much able to come back and beat out the Canes was huge for them. I mean, everybody thinks that with being the President's Trophy winners, they're bound to lose at some point, but these guys, they just seem like they just battle back, no matter what the circumstances are. I mean, they proved it against the Canes, and I granted, I'm not I'm not prone to either team on the Eastern Conference Final just because it's the Eastern Conference and I'm more of a West guy myself. But I think they're going to have a lot harder of a time against Florida just from how they've been kind of playing, and they haven't had the easiest go around either. I mean, you can say a little bit for the first round against the Maple Leafs, but second round was definitely a lot harder for the Panthers with the Bruins. So I don't think that it's going to be an easy cakewalk for for New York or either team really in the Eastern Conference Final.
This is going to go 7.
Series to watch. Yeah. It'll be a very interesting series to watch, and it's probably going to go 6 or 7 games. I guarantee.
I don't see how it doesn't go 7. I don't see in a world this series doesn't go seven games. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. In some, we'll see. In some other news regarding the Carolina Hurricanes, Rob Brind'Amour is going to get it. Sounds like he's going to get an extension to stay at Carolina to be the head coach there.
Rob the Bob's a good coach.
I agree. I was a little surprised hearing the rumors that they were looking, that there wasn't going to be, because at the beginning of the playoffs there was this, hey, we're Brind'Amour's probably not coming back. Like, he's probably done in Carolina, especially if they were out. If they got eliminated at any point, they didn't reach the Stanley Cup Finals, that he was going to be out. So I'm glad that he's going to stick around in Carolina. They have a lot of unrestricted free agents and a lot of restricted free agents that they're going to have to work with and get around. And one of those is Jake Getzel. And I saw today that the Carolina Hurricanes are hoping to keep him in Carolina. How important though is it that Carolina keeps out Woger? I'll talk about a little bit of non-playoff related stuff, because there's another coaching pickup that I want to jump into before we get into.
Before we move on, if Rod leaves, if Rod was to leave, obviously, like you said, it seems like he's going to be staying in Carolina, which is good. I'm glad about that.
Yeah.
Where would he go? I hate
Seattle.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I hate to tie everyone back to their alumnus area, but do you think Torts sticks around in Philly? If Torts gets out of Philly, maybe Rod the Bod gets picked up by the Flyers. That wouldn't be a bad spot. I know you guys, Craig Berube went to the Leafs. I saw, right? So you guys are looking for a coach?
No,
they
hired
Bannister.
Bannister.
Oh, really?
Drew Bannister. They added a 2-year extension to his contract.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yep. So he'll be around for the next 2 years of the rebuild that the Blues are about to go through. So it'll be a fun time. It'll be a fun time. Retool. Sorry, not rebuild. Retool. That's what we.
You never know what happens. We were going through a rebuild, and next thing you know, we're in the Eastern Conference Finals.
True.
Yeah.
True. Aaron, on the, if you can hear me, I don't know if you're with us.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. How, on the other coaching side of things, is it more important for Carolina to keep Brind'Amour, or is it more important for Craig Berube to land in Toronto for the Maple Leafs?
Ooh, that's a tough one, because I feel like with Brind'Amour, he plays playoff hockey like 82 games out of the year, and then when it comes to playoff time, they shrink. So that's quite interesting that he stays, especially with like Jake Getzel and all that. I think Jake Getzel's going to leave, though, so I'm kind of surprised that Brind'Amour signed the contract. But I think Berube's perfect for this Maple Leafs team, because they are all just a bunch of crybabies. They're not hard hitters. So I think this is going to be good for them. It gives them a good toughness that they needed, that we thought was going to be this year when they got a Bertuzzi and a Max Domi and a Ryan Reeves. So I think it's going to be good for them. I'm not saying Eastern Conference Finals, but I think possibly a second round in his first year.
Oh, we'll pull out the big straws there, Jerry. What do you think?
I don't know who the Toronto Maple Leafs pissed off. If I had to guess, it was probably Satan himself, but they are just doomed for eternity. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, it was a good series that they had, and obviously things kind of imploded. I think we're going to see a major shakeup in the Maple Leafs locker room from a personnel standpoint. I'm sorry, a player standpoint. Obviously, they got a new coach and everything. But that being said, I'll tell you exactly who I think. I think Marner's out of there. I think Marner's going to be leaving the Leafs. I don't know where he's going to go, but I think Marner's definitely going to be on the outs, especially after what happened in games was it Game 7 or Game 6 where him Bertuzzi and Austin Matthews got into it on the bench. Did you guys see that?
Oh, yes.
I want to say it was Game 7 because they lost.
It was away, wasn't it?
Yeah, so then it was Game 7 then because the Bruins had home ice.
Yes, I think it was Game 7.
So I think that's bad news for them. They also have. I wouldn't be surprised if they buy out JT, just because I think he's run his course up there too. It's kind of tough to buy out your captain, but we know it does happen more often than not, especially when they get up in age and they're not really producing and performing anymore.
Unless you're Alex Pietrangelo.
Yeah, true. It's not necessarily a bad thing. No, you definitely want to stay loyal to the guys who were loyal to you. Tavares, not so much the case. Pietrangelo was the case, so I could see, the different sides of that argument. Yeah. But I can definitely see them come. I think Rebo's out of there. Bertuzzi probably sticks around. Who's the other? He's a Nepo baby. Who's the kid? Whose son? You said his name before, and I'm totally blanking out. Is it Bertuzzi? No, I said Bertuzzi. No. It's the other one. It's not a Kachuk.
Who, Max Domi?
Yeah, Max Domi. Max Domi probably stays up there just because he's a younger version of what Reeves should be. He's tough. He can fight. He can throw him. But yeah, I mean, they just need to shake everything up, and they've done it before, and it just hasn't worked. So you never hurt to just try again. I don't want to say it's insulting because obviously I'm an American man, so it is what it is. And, if Canada's going to not succeed at their own sport, that's fine by me. They'll always beat us in the Olympics, so we know that's going to happen. But, I want to see the Leafs do well. I like original six hockey teams being in the fold. I would love to see the Canadians do well as well. But I honestly think that we're going to see Montreal Canadiens success before we see Toronto Maple Leafs success. They're doomed.
I don't think you're wrong. Same time.
Yeah.
Brandon, what do you think? Which one's more important? Carolina's re-signing of Brendan Moore or Berube going to Toronto?
I think probably Toronto signing Berube because you've seen kind of consensus of what's been going on in Toronto for the last several years under coach name Sheldon Keefe, and kind of the direction that they were going, and it didn't really seem like nothing was. They were always doing really good throughout the regular season, but then they just were falling off by the wayside by the time they got into the playoffs. The last couple of years, we've seen them made it out of the first round, thankfully, but still, they haven't really. I don't really see them being a full-on contender, like making it out of the first couple of rounds, if they were going to keep going in the way that they were going. So with having a different direction, with having Berube, I think as a head coach, I really think that team could possibly get going in a different direction, Berube's direction. And I think they can maybe get going in better than what they have in the last couple of years.
Yeah. That's always the hope. I think you look at a coach like Craig Berube, he's going to bring that old style, old school kind of I wouldn't say toughness, but just edge to your team. And maybe that's something that Toronto needs, is they need that little bit of like you said, grit, a little bit of like sandpaperness, that teams are not necessarily scared to play them, but are like, we know this is going to be a tough game, no matter who's on the ice, no matter what time, when or where. I think that's the team we might see out of Toronto with Berube as the head guy.
Yeah. Now on the same side of that, you've seen how Toronto has been playing, and a lot of players may or may not be buying into it. Once Berube comes in, a lot of guys could see maybe the way that Berube wants to run things, and it could completely go the opposite way on him. But that's something that it's a game of what ifs with the NHL on a lot of these types of situations. You never know which way it's going to go. Obviously, everybody in Toronto is going to hope for the best, and that it's going to be a turn on a good foot for the team with having Berube come in. And I obviously hope it does, because I like Chief. I have a genuine like for Chief. He was a good coach for us for 4 or 5 years until things started on a decline. So I really hope that things are going to go for the better for the Toronto Maple Leafs once Craig Berube is their head coach.
Yeah, I mean, he's seen what he did in Philly, seen what he did in St. Louis. So it's a lot of it's been positive stuff. So hopefully he'll get that same kind of reaction in Toronto with the talent that they are hoping to keep, hoping to keep there. So looking at next thing, moving on from that point, you get Game 7, Edmonton, Vancouver tonight. No Brock Boeser for tonight. No Brock Boeser for the rest of the playoffs due to blood clotting that was found.
Oh wow!
It was today.
Yeah, in his leg.
In his leg. It said it's not. They say it's not severe, but
still, that's pretty gnarly. He's definitely if they advance, he's not coming back.
Yeah. No, they already announced that I'm pretty sure they announced that he was out for the rest of the playoffs. Like he's not coming back the rest of the year. But they made it sound like it's not severe. Like he should be okay. He's just going to miss the rest of the playoffs. How important is it for Vancouver to have Brock Boeser in this Game 7 and possibly the rest of the playoffs, Jerry?
I feel like he really hasn't been all that present. And correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I feel like he's been among, like, I'm the one of the other shows that I came on for the 5-hole to talk about the playoffs. We mentioned how some of the Canucks big names haven't really been coming up when they need to come up and performing, and obviously it's a blow. I'm trying to pull up his stats for the series here if I can find them. It's going to be a little hard, I guess, because I'm on.
Yeah, I know he had 7 goals in the time that he's been in the playoffs.
Maybe I'm talking out of my ass.
Because there was one game he did get a hat trick.
Yes, he has 7 goals in the playoffs so far.
Yep.
In what, 14 games? Because they only won 5 with the Predators, right? Or 6?
Yeah, they won 5.
Distance.
5.
Yeah. All right.
So,
well, that's definitely going to be a blow. You obviously want to have your studs out there. And we all know what happens. I mean, it's next man up. That's the name of the game here, especially with the NHL playoffs. There's a lot of room for unsung heroes. I can't sit here and say I know the Canucks roster top to bottom to name some guys who could do that, but it's just a matter of a bounce. Throw the puck on goal, gain the zone, and then just hopefully it drops in. So it's definitely going to hurt them a little bit, but I do think that they have star powers. They have Quinn Hughes and they have JT Miller. Yeah. So like he's going to be missed, but there's going to be other powerful hockey players to kind of really step in and fill that void. They're just going to have to pull double time now.
There was a name that popped up the other night when I was watching this one after the Canes Rangers game the other night, and it was and I couldn't say his name correctly. I was trying for the longest time to say it correctly, and it's is it DeGiuseppe?
DiGiuseppe?
DiGiuseppe. Is that how you say it? DiGiuseppe?
On the Canes?
On the Canucks.
Yeah, wow. It's DiGiuseppe, yeah.
He was a Ranger, right, Aaron?
Maybe for a little bit.
Is it Philip DiGiuseppe?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Ranger.
Yeah. It was a weird. It was just the first time I've seen it, not seeing the Canucks too often in the regular season. When I saw that name come across, I'm like, dang, like, how do you?
He might have even been drafted by the Rangers.
But no, it's interesting. Right now, it's 0-0, 13:44 left in the first period. Aaron, how important is it that the Edmonton Oilers take advantage of the Canucks not having Brock Boeser tonight?
Well, we were talking before, like Connor McDavid needs to step up. I'm calling it right now.
That's the answer.
My shot is he's going to get the game-winning goal tonight. But I mean, they have to pounce on this team. No Brock Boeser. They still don't have Demko. And they're pretty much losing the third-string goalie. So everyone needs to step it up. I know Evander Kane's been scoring the last few games, but like Corey Perry's been non-existent. I think Ryan Hopkins only had 1 goal in the series so far. Like Drysdale and McDavid are pretty much carrying the bulk load of the minutes, which is not surprising. But I really thought this team was going to be a lot better with how their front six was. But no, with Brock Boeser gone, I think on the Vancouver side, I feel like guys like JT Miller, who has been in the playoffs before with Tampa and New York, I think he needs to step it up, which he has been. Hit the game winner 2 games ago, the same day Kreider did, huh? Coincidence. And I also think I don't know if he's hurt, but Dakota Joshua, he's a really good 2-way player. I think he needs to step it up for Vancouver as well. But on the Edmonton side, I didn't get a chance to see who was in net. But if it's Stuart Skinner, he needs to have an impressive game.
Last game it was
Skinner, I believe.
No,
he had like 14.
Picard
saves.
It was
last
Picard.
game.
Picard.
Oh, it was Picard last game.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Skinner. But pretty much for Edmonton, their goaltending needs to step up because that's been their weakest link so far against Vancouver.
It's Stuart Skinner tonight for Game 7. Yeah.
I know it was Skinner last game.
I thought at one point I saw Picard was.
It was Game 5. Game 5 was Picard.
Was it? Oh, all right. I don't remember. The games
never doubt Blue Shirts banner.
The games get tossed together.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it was Game 5 that Edmonton started Picard.
I know there was a game there where it was Picard playing, and he was
Game 5
from the start. So I do remember watching that and remembering things on that end. Yeah, it's nuts. So looking forward, if you're Dallas, Brandon, which team would you rather play? Would you rather play Edmonton or would you rather play Vancouver?
That's a hard one because I mean we've all seen how Vancouver has been playing with the injuries and everything that they've had and not knowing if they're even going to get either their goaltenders back or how it's going to be, but having the blows that they're having and if they're still able to come out of this series with a win, I would almost say that found confidence that if Vancouver does make it out of this series and makes it to the Western Conference Finals, I would say that would be the team that they would probably be kind of sweating a little bit to be playing against because you got a bunch of kids, you got a bunch of veterans on this team. And Jerry and all of us have talked about it throughout the season that if Vancouver is able to get their stuff going, and a lot of it all, they got to get Pettersson going because he hasn't contributed really at all in the playoffs so far. I think he's had 1 goal. He's got 1 goal in the playoffs so far this postseason. And if he can get stuff going before Dallas, if they even make it that far, I feel like that could be the guy that they could look to with Brock Besser being down, and he could get that confidence going for this team if they are wanting to continue past this series.
It just takes one. It just takes one.
That's all it takes.
If he scores tonight's a 1-0 game, and he has the goal, no one's gonna remember.
Exactly. But on the Edmonton side, if you are looking at that team and you're seeing where they're going to be at the end of this season, I mean, there's been talks about Draisaitl being traded. They got a lot of cap issues, especially with the guys that they have up top. So, I mean, they could be looking at this as a do or die type of thing, that this could be their last shot for a while. And they might just throw everything in the bucket and try to go as hard as they can and try to get as far as they can. And that could be something that Dallas could have to watch out for as well.
Yeah, I would say so. I would agree with that. My biggest thing though is a player by the name of Corey Perry, and if I remember correctly, the last couple times Corey Perry has been to the Stanley Cup Finals, it hasn't turned out very well for him.
Did he win one with Tampa?
I don't think so.
No, he's never won one. He's always been on the opposite end.
When Tampa and Montreal played, he was on Montreal. Tampa Bay won the Stanley Cup. When he went to Tampa Bay, they lost to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on the Dallas Stars, and they lost to Tampa.
Yep. The year before he went to Montreal. So, if you're an Edmonton fan, you got a little bit of nervousness having Corey Perry on your team right now, right? You got to think that's there. It's got to be there a little bit, just a little bit. They're still 0-0, 9 shots on goal for Edmonton so far, 2 shots on goal for the Vancouver Canucks. How good has this Vancouver defense been in this series, Jerry? Really, really.
I mean, good. to keep them at bay, with probably the greatest offensive player of the modern generation. It's been ridiculous to see that sort of thing go on. Yeah. You know, if you look at the stat sheet here, I mean, goaltending aside, you know, if they had Thatcher Demko in between the pipes, I think it would be a lot different. Because if you look at the series, all these games hit the over for the most part, with the exception of game 4. It looks like game 4 and game 5. Game 5 they only had 5 goals too. Yeah. But minus those 2 games, everything else has been 6+ goals. And if you have a number 1 goalie in between the pipes, you got to think it might be different for the most part. But for the fact, you know, they're lucky that Draisaitl and McDavid aren't going out and scoring, you know, 5 goals on their own. Right. So to be able to keep them at bay is the biggest thing. And also, I think a huge thing here is the power play for Edmonton. Mm-hmm. So for them to come, they just need to stay. The Canucks, that is, just need to stay disciplined and not let that power play really come out and hammer it on, because I think that's where the majority of their offensive, you know, prowess comes from. I do want to just make a quick point about this game tonight. I think this needs to be the Connor McDavid game. You know, you look at the season this year for McDavid. Not that he had a bad season. The man had over 100 assists, but he wasn't scoring for whatever reason. And I have a personal theory. I think I mentioned on the show before. I think he just got bored and said, you know what, I'm going to pass the puck this year, and I'm going to let everyone else just take him around, and that's fine. I think tonight he needs to really take this game into his own hands and be like, I'm Connor freaking McDavid, and I'm going to send my team to the Western Conference Finals for my first chance at a Stanley Cup to cement my legacy, which, you know, I hate to bring I know it's just a joke and whatever, but if you listen to part of my take on Barstool today, they had PK Subban on, and they have an ongoing joke where they just talk trash about Connor McDavid and how he can't win the big one, even though he's still young and whatever. Like, that's his one bad side. And PK wasn't catching on to the joke. I was getting very, very triggered about it. And it was actually really funny. If you have a chance, I definitely recommend you check out the interview. But it is not, you know, it's not a legitimate gripe to make. I know he's still young. I think he's only been in the league for 5 or 6 years now at this point. Still has some time, but you know, you look at Ovi pre 2016, 17 when
they won the cup.
18. Oh, it was close.
Yeah, it was 18.
You look at Ovi pre 2018. Like, it's a conversation to be had. And granted, at that point, Ovi was significantly older than McDavid is right now, but still, like, kid has to get one, or at least come close to getting one, just to know that he has the wherewithal to be able to get there. And I know it's not necessarily his fault, and Edmonton makes boneheaded decisions when it comes to, you know, team management and whatnot. But still, I want to see him in the dance, and I do think that if the Oilers make it out of tonight, I think they're gonna blow through. Maybe not blow through Dallas, but I think Dallas is gonna be gassed. Dallas just played 2 very, very hard series that both could have been Western Conference Final matchups. And I didn't think they were going to get out of the Avalanche, but for whatever reason, they had the Avs number. I was very shocked about that. But I do think whoever comes out of the series is going to the Stanley Cup.
Whoever wins the East has the biggest advantage, because there's no goaltending out in the West.
Whoever wins the East is winning the Stanley Cup, but whoever wins this series tonight is going to the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, because it's been the West Cup for the last couple of years.
Yeah, it really has, hasn't it?
Yeah. It is as dominant as the Eastern Conferences in the regular season and the playoffs. When it comes to the Stanley Cup Finals, the Western Conference team, they just seem to have that little bit of an edge. It's a little. I don't know if it's tougher in the West, or if it's tougher in the East, or if it's just by that point in time that Eastern Conference team is just beat down.
Yeah,
we saw it last year. You saw it I guess you could say the year before. Like, just to a point where they're done. Like that they got to the cup final, and it's just harder to play against a team.
Who did Vegas beat last year?
Florida.
Yep.
They scored 9 goals in the final game of the Stanley Cup playoffs or Stanley Cup Finals last year. 9-3 was the final score.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
shut it off in like the second period.
Yeah, there was what 4 or 5-0 at the end of the first period. It's like, well, all right, this one's over.
Yeah, it's something crazy like that.
Yeah, it's nuts. It is weird though that the West has the number when it comes to the Stanley Cup Finals, at least right now.
It's like Vegas knows.
Could change, huh?
It's like Vegas knows.
Do you think so? You think
just a little?
Just a little.
Vegas doesn't know squat. Vegas had the New York Rangers at plus 130 to win that series, and if they were smart, they would have been minus 260.
Yeah,
even this one too. I'm sorry, I'm a homer. I'm sorry, Variety Sports Network fandom. I'm sorry, I'm a homer. I don't know what to tell you.
They had on for like 5 to 10 minutes last night talking about the playoff edition. This like Panthers tribute, as if they're going through like the grind. It's like, what? Like they're just dominating all these teams. There's no grind that they're doing.
I mean,
the Panthers
they haven't really dominated.
Too.
Yeah, if you look at the Panthers, though, I mean they could have handled Boston a lot quicker than they did.
Boston's a good team, man. I thought Boston. We want to talk about reverse sweeps and possibly happening. I think Boston might have had that best chance to make that happen.
Yeah.
You know, Swayman has a good. Swayman has a good game. You know, that game 6, Swayman stands on his head. That's a different game. A little more production, different game.
Yeah. All right. Oh God.
Actually, you know what? I want to correct myself real quick. I'm wrong. The Avalanche lost in double overtime, so it doesn't get any luckier than that. Even though it was an ice goal, but still.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, and then I don't know if you saw the no goal from that game.
No, I didn't. I didn't know something got whipped off.
It was in the first overtime.
Oh.
I do remember that one.
Yeah, there was a no goal that was called. Well, it's like 17:30 something left in the first overtime.
Yep.
It was no goal called on the Dallas Stars.
Which one do you think was more of a no goal? The Dallas Stars first overtime or the Rangers game 6? I believe was period 2, where Martinook saves it.
I think they made the right call.
Counted. I think the Dallas goal should have counted.
The Dallas goal should have counted.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
and I think they had the right call. I think they had the right call with that Martinook save.
I don't. Yeah, it didn't cross the line.
I think that was the right one.
Yeah, I thought it crossed the line first too. When I was sitting there watching, I was like, oh, that puck went across. Like, there's no way that puck did not go across the line. And you look back and you watch the slow motion of it.
85% of the puck crossed the line. It was close. It was real close.
It's that last little 15 that didn't get over.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Still looking at, I think it was 0-0. Last I checked in the Canucks Oilers game. I can get my phone to.
Yeah, we got 0-0, 6 on 5, 7 minutes left.
6 on 5?
Well, I'm assuming there's a delayed penalty.
Yeah. Probably, which is not favorable. 12 shots to 2 shots so far. For Edmonton.
12-1. I have.
That's crazy. All right. So let's talk little Rangers, Panthers. Serious thoughts time. Let's go Rangers, Panthers here on the 5-hole. Florida comes in at 8-3. Rangers coming at 8-2. Connor Verhaeghe currently has the most goals for the Florida Panthers. Chris Kreider with his hat trick the other night bumped him up to number 1 in goals for the New York Rangers. Who has to be the number 1 guy for the New York Rangers, Aaron?
Ooh, the number 1 guy.
Who's got to put the team on their back?
I think it's going to be the second line. It's going to put the team on. That can't be one person. I think it's going to be the second line for us with Laff, Trocheck, and Panarin. Because even though Kreider has the most goals on it, Panarin's been dishing out the assists. Trocheck's been doing the same thing, assists and goals. I think that entire line, needs to kind of carry this team because me, Jerry, and CP, NY Sports, we're talking about on Game 6, Rangers Kings with the preview for Florida. They all 3 of their lines for Florida are nasty. So we got to come out with at least one of our lines strong. So I think that entire second line itself needs to come out strong against this team.
Yeah. Jerry, what do you think? Who's got to?
Yeah, I think that would be a great answer, but I like what Aaron said. But to kind of really answer your question, I think it's a clear-cut answer, and I think it's Artemi Panarin. And he's been in the mix. He's done a lot so far. You know, this isn't the typical New York Rangers playoffs where Panarin and Mika kind of, fade into the void and not exist and just let other people pick up the slack for them. They've been very prevalent all playoff long. Yeah. However, I feel as if Panarin has kind of, while being in the mix, not really been producing, or let me rephrase that. He's been locked down. I think teams have done a good job at defending Panarin, and in turn, he had to kind of share the wealth, and that's why we saw Trocheck and Laugh have two great, both back-to-back series in the first round and the second round. So I want to see Panarin kind of really turn into the 122-point player from the regular season this series, but that's going to be a lot easier said than done with Bob and Net. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be a tough matchup, and I really wanted Boston to get out of that conference semis really badly.
And he's only a 2-time Vezina winner. I mean, average goalie here.
No biggie. Yeah, they'll be fine. Brandon, opposite side of the spectrum here for you. Who on the Florida Panthers has to jump up to get the Florida Panthers back to the Stanley Cup Finals?
So originally I was going to say Bob, but looking at the numbers for Bob and Shesterkin, they almost look a little
almost identical.
Similar how they kind of have been playing.
Yeah,
Shesterkin's got a little bit of a better save percentage than what Bobrovsky does, but for me, I think if Florida wants to really come out of this series a lot better than what they have against Boston or even Toronto, I think they need Sam Reinhart to get going like he did in the regular season. If you got a guy like a regular season that he hasn't really shown up a whole lot really in the playoffs. And I think going up against the President's Trophy team like the New York Rangers, I think you need Reinhart, Barkov, Kachuk, all these guys on their team because they are loaded and they need these guys to really get going like they did in the regular season if they want to take down the New York Rangers.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say Tarasenko because I think he was the one goal from the first round.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, he's playing on third line currently for the Florida Panthers.
Oh, he was on the first line.
Yeah, he's on the first line. First line winger.
I haven't been paying attention for the last couple. I've been out of it but he might be.
We could be wrong.
Well could be.
Yeah, we could be wrong, and that could have changed by now. But I thought he was on the first line.
I mean, a lot of these guys. It seems like Florida. There's been a lot of players, even in this playoffs, that it seems like they haven't really shown the contributions like they did in the regular season, and you've had some oddballs kind of showing up. Like for Hagee, he's leading in goals right now, and with 6. I mean, out of everybody that is on the Florida Panthers roster, if you would have told me Verhaeghe would be leading in goals for this team, I would have been a little bit shocked. But they just need their top guys, I think, to really show up a little bit more than what they have. So just like the list of names I went on, including Tarasenko, I just think that they need a lot more contribution from their big guys in order to really take down their next opposition in the Eastern Conference Final. Yeah,
that's fair. I think for me, I actually do want to go. I do want to go Tarasenko. I think Tarasenko has that little bit of kind of. I don't want to say dog, but he still has that little bit of fight in him. He wants to win another cup. That's why he's in Florida. He knew this team had a really good opportunity to do it. So it's hard not to pick Vladimir Tarasenko to be the guy that Florida, they don't have to rely on, but that needs to play better.
That would hurt.
I wouldn't even say
if he steps up, I'd be so hurt just because I wanted him to be back on the range. I mean, I can only imagine how you guys would feel, but also it probably doesn't really matter because he won your cup with you guys, so it's fine. But I wanted him to come back so bad this year at the trade deadline, and he just went to Florida, and I knew this was going to happen specifically and it's gonna hurt my soul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was wrong. They do have Tarasenko up on the first line.
Okay. I thought last I had seen that he was still on the first line with
Barkov and Reinhart.
Yeah. I was going to say Kachuk, but Kachuk's second line.
Yeah, they got him on second line with
which is
Lindell
nuts. Which is nuts. That's your best. That's probably your best player on the team.
Yeah, but how can you take Reinhart off of the first line with all the contributions? Well, I mean, you could with how he's not been showing up, but I mean, still that it's one of those types of things.
I wouldn't say Reinhardt's not showed up. I mean, he's got 11 games. He's got 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points.
True.
For the playoffs, that's not. I mean, it's not awful. You look at somebody like, I know Kyle Oposo is on the older side of things, but that's a guy with a lot of experience that
a lot of experience in not making the playoffs.
That's it.
Facts.
That's it. What do you make it one time with Buffalo?
Maybe.
A few times with the
Islanders. I was going to say, honestly,
Buffalo.
probably with the Islanders over Buffalo. Yeah. He was on a lot of bad Buffalo teams.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. On the goaltender side of things, Jerry, look at 2 really, really good goalies. Oh, there's a 4-minute power play for the Canucks right now.
Oh, really?
Period. My bad. Didn't mean to put things over there. The Vancouver Canucks are on a power play. There's 3:10 left in the first period. There's 3:24 left in the power play.
Sheesh. Evander Kane must have did something.
You look at the 2 goalies between Bobrovsky and Shesterkin. Bobrovsky's 8-3-0, 2.37 goals against average, 0.902 save percentage. No shutouts. Where Shesterkin is 8-2-0, 240 and a 0.923 save percentage. Which I mean you gotta. I know you're gonna go Igor.
You don't know that.
You don't
know that.
He if you're gonna ask who has the most pressure, it's Igor, just because of our defensive pairings.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say just who has to play better for their team to get to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, the answer to that is Igor Shesterkin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly for what Aaron just said. We just decide not to. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but more often than not, we just do not play defense. Yeah. And it hurts. And obviously against a team as high octane as the Florida Panthers are, that just can't be happening. So I'm hoping they really kind of tweak their approach when it comes to defense and focus on a more defensive first, strategy as opposed to, all right, let's push. Let's try to catch them in transition like we usually do. And, run a 4-man rush. I will say this as far as the series goes, though. This is either going to be wicked high scoring or super duper 1-0 games. There's going to be no in between. Either one night, both teams are going to be firing on all cylinders, and we're going to be looking at like a 6-5 final. Or then there's going to be another night where Bob and Igor are both just standing on their heads, 45 saves apiece. And I don't think there's going to be an in-between. Those games are probably going to go to overtime, and it's going to kill me. Probably this might be the last time you guys see me on Variety Sports Network. But I think this is going to be a big-time goaltending series, like goaltending first type series, just because both of them are going to get tested very, very hard. And both of them are going to, I think, rise to the occasion. I think this is going to be circle this series on your count. I would give this series preference over the Western Conference Final. Just because I think this is definitely, no matter who makes it out tonight, I think this is hands down the better matchup. It's a shame they couldn't play each other in the Stanley Cup Final. This would be a great matchup for that as well. But,
of course,
we'll see what happens. But yeah, I do think Igor is going to be the one that's going to have to really rise to the occasion here and bail out his team. It's funny because there was I saw a joke awards for the NHL season on Twitter. I'm sure you guys might have came across it too. I forgot what website did it, but one of the awards was goaltender that deserves a gun the most. And Igor was on the top of the list just because they don't play defense. I didn't vote for Igor. I voted for Swayman given recent events because I feel like it's kind of the same deal was the same deal up in Boston when they were still playing, where your goalie just stands on their head and does everything they possibly can do to win that game, but your team's just around you, just not helping you out. But I don't know. It makes me nervous when my goalie had to make 49 saves on 54 shots or whatever it was to win in double overtime. And that's going to be the same case against the Panthers. That game's not going to double overtime. That game's going to be over in the second period.
Yeah. Well, that's where, I mean, my thought train watching game 6 the other night, it's this first period wasn't great.
That's fine. Games are 60 minutes for a reason.
Right.
I'll never split a bad first period.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to get to is outside of Chris Kreider's 3 goals in the third period, the way he played in the third period, Igor.
Oh, forget about it.
Fantastic.
Oh, my God.
He helped. That was another reason why the Rangers are in the Eastern Conference Finals is because of the way he played in the third period to give the Rangers that little bit of life to get back into the game.
Another thing that makes me nervous about all this, though, is that for the New York Rangers to tale as old as time, wind back the clocks back to 2014 and all the seasons surrounding those years, Hank was the belle of the ball. Hank did everything he possibly could to get us to where we were. A couple Eastern Conference Finals, a Stanley Cup run. Obviously, nothing ever came of it. But, again, we're just always so over-reliant on a goalie that we don't produce around them, and it always makes me a little bit on edge about it. It's an uneasy feeling to have, and like I always have pits in my stomach knowing that I just feel like they always think, oh, it's fine, Igor's got us, or it's fine, Hank's got us. Like, no, like play defense, clear the puck. If we're leaving people in front of the net here to pick up garbage goals with the Panthers, they're gonna get those garbage goals. It's the same thing as if Edmonton wins tonight, then goes on to beat the Stars, and we looking very far ahead here, see the Oilers in the Stanley Cup Finals, like it's going to be the same case where they're going to catch us sleeping on a backdoor cut and Draisaitl is going to be right there for McDavid or vice versa or something along those lines. Like these are the things that we need to pick up defensively as a team where we cannot let it happen, because now we're getting to the point where all the teams who are surviving or are still left for that matter are going to exploit those weaknesses, and they're going to see him for exactly what it is. This isn't the Washington Capitals anymore. This is now big boy hockey.
Yeah. Well, I saw that, and I think they were talking about it in the first intermission. There was I think it was Stahl. He came around from the backside. He came around. So if I'm looking at the net, he goes around the left side of the net, comes back around, and instead of passing the puck out, he comes back around real quick and he tries to go top shelf, I believe, or top shelf or 5-hole, one of the two. No pun intended there. But that was the one thing they were talking about in the first intermission is how the Rangers struggled with that at the start of the series, or not the start of the series, but like the middle of the series when Carolina was, one game, was it 4-5? That was a play that they struggled with. And in game 6 there, they were able to figure it out and get a little bit more defensive pressure on that specific thing. Because you could see it clear as day how that play set up, how that play worked. And I thought the New York Rangers did a really, really great job of figuring that out and being there defensively when they needed to and not leaving Igor kind of hanging out to dry.
That's just what they do. They just that's what makes them a great team, and that's what Aaron and I have been saying all season long. Is they make those necessary adjustments, in between periods, and that's what Laviolette kind of specializes in. So I'm hoping, I think that's going to be definitely a huge difference maker there. But the Panthers do the same thing, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you're looking at two really, really good teams. Brandon on this side of the other side of things. Matthew Tkachuk has to be lights out for the Panthers to move on.
Yep. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. How important? I wouldn't say how important, but is this something that he can do? Can he take his play to the next level? Obviously, last year I believe he got hurt in the Eastern Conference Finals.
He did.
So
I mean, just taking that from as a big example, you saw Matthew Tkachuk go through all of last year's postseason and pretty much put the Florida Panthers on his back pretty much and got them to where they were. And whenever he got hurt, that you could see that was kind of like that turnaround moment kind of for the Panthers, because it all went from good. He was scoring, he was getting points and everything, and he got hurt and was taken out, and then it just seemed like everything went downhill. And I mean, obviously at the time they were going against Vegas, who is last year was a powerhouse. And so, I mean, just to see where everything went from there on for the Florida Panthers, if you have a Matthew Tkachuk firing on all cylinders during this Eastern Conference final, I think you could be looking at a very interesting series, because everybody knows Matthew Tkachuk puts his heart and effort out on the ice every single moment he's out on the ice, and he will do anything and everything he can to get a W for his team. And I feel like he could be a big contributor for the Florida Panthers this season, or this postseason, going into the Eastern Conference final.
Yeah. Last thing on this series, Aaron, what's your prediction? How many games does it go for this one? Scratch that, Jerry. How many games does this go?
My fault. If my mic wasn't working, I got Rangers in 7.
Okay. Jerry,
I like 6 here. I think 7's too. I just want to go against the grain here and feel special. I do think it might go 7, but I want to say Rangers in 6.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you think?
I want you go. I'll go last. I want to see what you're going to say.
As much as I hate, I'm going to go with the Rangers. I think the Rangers.
Yeah, you are.
Have a little bit more of a.
So I'm going to be the dark horse.
Yeah. And that's not because Jerry and Aaron are on. It has no reason. I think the New York Rangers, I don't think they're a better skilled team than the Florida Panthers, but I think they're a better team than the Florida Panthers. Florida Panthers are going to rely on their main guys, where I feel like the New York Rangers can kind of bounce around, and they're going to get goals from types of players that you may not necessarily expect all the time to get a goal.
Yeah. Another thing that the Rangers do that I think is going to benefit them tremendously here, and it's also infuriating as a fan of the team, is that the Rangers match the level of competition that they play against.
Yes.
They kind of, I mean, Kate walked the Capitals. The Capitals didn't belong there, but had that been, the Islanders, it would have been the sloppiest 6-game series you've ever seen, just because they always match the way of their opponents. We saw it for the most part, contrary to popular belief. I thought the series against the Canes, was a well-fought, well-played series. I understand we made
great series.
Yeah, I thought they played very hard. The Canes are a great hockey team. I appreciate the Canes. I respect the Canes. The fans were all surprisingly very respectful every time they popped into the Blue Shirt banter streams and all that stuff. So you'll never hear me utter a bad word about them. But the Rangers played up to their or down, or however you want to phrase it. The Rangers matched the level of skill that the Canes brought to the table. And now with the Florida Panthers, the Panthers are bringing in while the Canes were very good and a very close second place to the top of the Metro, the Panthers are, I want to say, probably a rung above the Hurricanes. So I think now we're going to see the Rangers match a high octane offense type deal, where we're going to see the superstars with Panarin and Mika and Kreider come in and just kind of really play whatever the equivalent is to standing on your head for a goalie for a forward. I guess just lights out, or however you want to phrase it. But I think that's exactly what's going to happen here, and I think we're really in for a barn burner of a series.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. You're looking at the third ranked penalty kill going against the second ranked penalty kill.
That's another thing.
That'll be a good one. The goals for both teams. So the Panthers are scoring 3.55. The Rangers are scoring 3.50. Perfect.
There it is. Evens matched. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about it. I mean, even like face-off percentage, 51% for both of them. The big difference is the power play. You're looking at 22% for Florida, 31% for the Rangers. So that could be the little bit of a difference maker there. Brandon, what do you got for this series? What's your prediction?
So I feel like if some of the guys from Florida can get their their games going and they can keep going the way that they have been, I honestly know that with New York and how they've been playing, I feel like they are a very top-notch team, but I feel like if Florida is able to get their guys going the way that they need to be going, I feel like the Panthers are going to take it in 6.
Panthers in 6. I think that's fair too. I think that's a good that's a good prediction. I like it.
It's not out of the question.
No.
I'm not going to sit here and jump down your throat because I can definitely see a possibility where that's a reality.
Do you think this is one of those series that might surprise us and it'd be like a 4 or 5 game series?
No, not necessarily.
100%.
Like just luck of the bounce,
go 6 or 7.
buckle up kind of 100%. Deal.
I think you're going to see we're going to get 2 at MSG. They're going to get 2 down in Sunrise, and then it's just going to go back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
I may come in on some of those because these are going to be series this is going to be a series that I am going to be paying a lot of attention to. So you may see me shooting you guys a message, be like, hey, I want to be jumping in on these.
Yeah, man, come on on. Come on on.
It'll be an interesting series to talk about, I feel like.
Yeah. Almost did that the other night with Game 6.
The door is always open to you, fellas.
I figured you guys were just gonna be your level was gonna be way up here, and I was just gonna be here. So I was like, I'll let them have their fun for tonight. But no, yeah, that's it. That's first intermission for the Canes or for the Canucks Oilers game. Still,
speaking of that. Silovs has been standing on his head. I don't know if you guys have been but the last 4 minutes, they got a Brown for Edmonton got a breakaway, and he could have had a really juicy goal, but Silovs actually made the daring attempt, and he was able to stop it. And I mean the be at 12-2 shots on goal against Edmonton. Vancouver's trying to stay in it.
Yeah. Who last question? Who wins this game? Game 7, Edmonton, Vancouver. Jerry.
So, I want to say the Canucks just because of the 1994 parallels, and I think it would be pretty sweet to have that rematch.
Cool. Yeah.
But I don't know. This is going to be a toss-up. I think, like I was saying before, if Connor McDavid does Connor McDavid things, I think the Oilers walk out of this game and then go on to the Stanley Cup Finals from there. I'll take – give me the Oilers in overtime.
Okay. I like it. Brandon, what do you think?
I'm kind of like Jerry. I feel like this game is going to be one of those games that goes to overtime, just seeing how the first period has kind of – rung out. It's a lot of shots on goal type of game. These goaltenders, well, they haven't really tested Skinner all that much. He's only seen 2 shots on goal. Yeah. But I mean, this is a team with Vancouver that they can go into intermissions and they can turn things around quickly. I mean, we've seen it plenty of times throughout the regular season. I think even sometimes a couple of games in this postseason already that we've seen it. But I don't feel like Vancouver is going to be a team to really sit on. I feel like they can easily bounce back from this period and have a standout rest of the game. I don't know if it'll be Vancouver that comes out with it. I think there's going to be a majority of this game that will probably go to overtime. And I think if it does, I think it will be Edmonton's to take.
That's fair. I'm going to go with the Oilers also in overtime.
Yeah.
I think it's fair.
Now, if this game were to end in regulation, by all means, it will probably be Vancouver. But if it any way, shape, or form it goes to overtime, I feel like it's going to be Edmonton's, because you're going to have that top line of McDavid, Hyman, or McDavid and Draisaitl with one of their top-notch defensemen, probably Bouchard, and they're probably just going to take it to these guys, and they're going to have probably a McDavid show on their hands.
Yeah, give me the legendary Zach Hyman to get the game-winning goal. If it goes,
I still stand by the fact that I think Vancouver, they built what they need to build and they're going to be sitting pretty for years to come. You know, if you want to compare them to an NBA team, look at like the Oklahoma City Thunder or something like that, where they now have a very solid young team, and I think they're going to be in the mix for years to come. However, that being said, I think they're too new and too green, so I think they're due for some sort of heartbreak, whether it be here or if they advance. Maybe it's against the Stars, and then the Stars just see what happens from there. But I don't think the Canucks are going to win a Stanley Cup this year.
No, I think if they manage to win tonight and they move on to play the Stars, I think that's a little bit quick of a series than we're going to see with the Rangers Panthers. Just my opinion. For the exact reason you just said, is because there's still a lot of fresh faces that haven't been there before. But Dallas is the complete opposite. Complete opposite of what
for real. Yeah. Dallas literally went to a Stanley Cup final with a lot. I feel like a lot of this core for the start. Yeah. I mean, Sagan, Ben.
The only difference this year compared to those years is they have a Wyatt Johnston.
and a better goalie than.
True.
Who did they have? Who did they have a few years ago? Was it the same guy? It wasn't. I
think it was Ben Bishop.
Was it Ben Bishop?
It was Bishop.
I didn't know. I wasn't sure if Bishop was the one who got them there or not.
It might have been a bit of a combination of two different goalies, but I think Bishop was the
number one.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well,
I'd have to look it up.
Jerry, I hope all and well that your Rangers do well.
Thank you.
In this series, like it's going to be a fantastic one.
Yeah, I'm excited.
No matter which way it goes, it's going to be one of the best series we're probably going to see in the playoffs this year, and for the past several years for years to come. I think it's going to be a good one. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out Jerry, Aaron, and CP all on the Blue Shirt Banter post-game shows after every Rangers game, and you'll probably see at least 4 more, if not
at least, at least, hopefully more.
At least 4 more, but hopefully 7. Very, very shortly in the next week or so, and then you get the Stanley Cup Finals. Hopefully, So that'll be a fun time. Either way, thanks for joining us again. I really, really do appreciate it, Brandon. Same for you, and Aaron, was with us and no longer here on the show. But thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight. We do also appreciate you tuning in. Anytime you have comments or anything like that, you have a question for us, throw it into the chat. We'd love to answer them as much as possible. Not now, because we're getting ready to leave. So don't do it now, because then it'll last a lot longer. And whatnot. But we'll see you back next Monday on the 5 Hole right here on Variety Sports Network. Do what you always do with the other ones. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff too. And go playoffs. Go playoffs. I'm not rooting for a team. Go playoffs.